everyone, are you ready for another adventure? It's me, Woki, and I'm back with another Fate Grand Order video. What are we going to be talking about today? Well, today we're going to be talking about the upcoming event, which is the Lilim Harlot Revival. The event everyone, including me, assumed would be here right after the summer revival, but they decided to wait about like 4 to 5 days just to let people catch up on some interludes, or maybe start the story if they're already fully caught on the interlude. Whatever you needed to catch up on, or maybe just take a little break, whatever the case may be. It's going to be coming up pretty soon, and that's going to be today's video. I hope you like it. If you do, feel free to let me know what you're most excited for, whether it's actually getting to see the story for the first time, or maybe you plan to summon on Draco. My brother told me that he plans to do a couple of off-screen summons for Locusta, so get some dupes there, because he would love some more serving coins from her. Whatever you plan to do with the event, whatever you're looking forward to the most, let me know, and let's begin, shall we? So, we're going to start on this site, and then we're going to transition over to the other site to talk about some other stuff. But because of some specific date things, I figured it's just easier to go through this site first. So to begin, when does the event itself start? It will be here on the 15th, and then it will end on June the 4th. Now I say 15th, but it's technically the 14th because the game goes into maintenance at reset, which for me is 9 p.m. And then it will come back in about 5 hours, which is going to be at 2 a.m. for me. What time it's going to come back or when it starts is going to be different for every person, so I would suggest you check your game to see when does maintenance start for you, and then from there add in the 5 hours, and then you should get basically when the event starts, unless like something happens and the event gets maintenance gets extended or something, and we get, I guess, a little bit more Saint Quartz, but hopefully that doesn't happen. It hasn't happened in a very long bit, so just, you know, knock on wood. Okay, so continuing on, to participate in the event, all you have to have done is clear Singularity F, but there is a little bit of a warning here in that it takes place after Chapter 2, Part 2, so it will contain spoilers for the main story at that point. So if you're only on Singularity, the 5th Singularity, and you show up here, there's going to be some big differences between the Chaldea of that point and the one you're currently on now. So kind of take that in mind. If you care about specific story spoilers, maybe just skip it and then wait for when you get to the chance around it. Another thing is an important notice is that you will be able to obtain the Holy Grail if you've already obtained it before. This is similar to the last event where someone corrected me and say, actually, you're reading it wrong. We do get the Holy Grail again. So even if you already got the Holy Grail from participating in the event last time, you'll be able to get it again. And that's very nice. Next, to look at another schedule thing before we move on, there's about this and one other thing. This is how the main quest stories will unlock. So on the day of the event, you will get the prologue, main quest section 1, main quest section 2, and some free quests. And then on the 20th is when we will get main quest section 16, main quest section 17, the epilogue and the free quest, and along with that, a challenge quest. And the Setanta will also officially join your roster, because if you've cleared all the main quests, including epilogue, then he'll just be on your side and stuff like that. So that's when all the big things, for free quests, I know particular, that's when the big heavy grind stuff actually starts. So for now, you should just be kind of just doing the event normally and not trying to grind too hard, but make sure you're actually doing missions, because it is a mission style event. And then next is the other thing that has dates on it, which I'll go down here to show off. Right here, it is going to be the login bonus for apples. So here it is right here. It will log in 21 times once per day during the period below. This will be from the 15th to the 4th, and on the first day it's going to be a golden fruit. On the 8th day it's a golden fruit, and then on the 15th day it's a golden fruit, and then the rest of them are all silver apples. So keep in mind 18 silver apples in total, 3 golden apples. Okay, that's the basic event date things, except for banner stuff, but we're going to be looking at banners a little bit later. So for now, we're going to transition over to the other site right now. And the transition is complete. All right, let's continue where we left off. So like I said, it is a mission style based event, so shouldn't be too hard. Just make sure you're keeping track of everything as you kind of go along. The kind of important thing to take note of here is that there are 2 summon tickets tied to these missions. So make sure you're able to complete them. But they're all things like, oh yeah, clear the epilogue and for the other one, it is clear Act 6. So that's completed by just completing 50 missions. It's really not too tough, at least from what I remember doing it, as someone who was like doing the story, I think, daily and unlocking it and such. It's not too bad to do the missions and stuff. Just make sure you keep up to date with it. And then the other thing to take note of here is how many sync quartz are going to be involved in the event. So it's actually divided up into 2 parts of the main quest. In part 1 there are 12 sync quartz, and then in part 2 there are 10 sync quartz. I won't show the specificness of it just because, again, I don't want to actually spoil it. I know that it's already been here before and it's technically like, okay, but some people might not have been playing this game specifically when this event came out, so I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt and not show any specific main quest stories, at least until they have some time. Unless they want to see them themselves, then go ahead. But yeah, you will get 12 sync quartz in part 1, 10 in part 2 for a total of 22, along with 2 tickets. Very nice. And then for the event bonuses here, 4 servants are going to have a 100% damage, 50% bond, which are going to be Setanta, Locusta, Larva Tiamat, and Draco. The units getting 50% damage and 20% bond are Caster Gilgamesh, Jack, Berserker Ku, Jacques the Mole, and Lady Avalon. And 30% and 20% bond, just everyone that was in the Fate Grand Order Arcade. But Go Arcade, anyone who was a part of Arcade, they are here. So they get a little bond bonus and a little bit of an attack bonus. And then only for MASH specifically, she gets the basic MASH bonus, which is 30% to damage and 5% to everyone when you have MASH on the team here. Another thing to take note of is this command support thing. I'll explain it very quickly just to kind of make sense. The way these work is that they kind of just they're buffs and they attach themselves to specific command cards, and it's also random for it, so it's just kind of nice for when I guess you're randomly doing things, but you can't really rely on them for any specific nature. But if you're someone who's maybe a little bit on the not as strong side, you can definitely use them as like a, oh yeah, this will help me deal some more damage and stuff like that. So that's nice at the very least. And then we also have where is it under? It should be under event rewards. Yes, here we go. Of course, the SR for this event is going to be Setanta, and then the craft essence that is the one we get from the shop is Song of the Cradle, which gives arts plus 8%, buster plus 8%, NP gain 5%, and then also start the battle with NP gain 30%. And then event bonus damage is 100%. Then we get command codes, unless you already have those, in which case you'll just get rare mana prisms or mana prisms. Romance, that is the spear. This is the 5-star. Engraved card deals 50% damage against Roman enemies. When attacking with the engraved card, apply the Roman trait on the target for 5 turns. The 4-star is Omniscient Clay Tablet. Engraved card has a 5% NP gain rate. Engraved card has a 30% star acquisition rate. And then the 3-star is the Azure Spiritron's Command Seal. Engraved card has a 5% critical damage. When attacking with the engraved card, apply a critical chance down by 10% on the target for 1 turn. And there's that. Okay, next let's go into the shop and see what's going on. Nope, we're going to go into the game updates first, because we do have strengthenings, which is going to be for Setanta, Skahak, and Nero Claudius. The one for Setanta is going to be Houndslayer A going to A+, and increased own damage against wild beast enemies for 3 turns, increase own quick performance for 3 turns, then it grants self a buff on attack buff for 5 turns, 3 turns, new effect, and then charges on NP gauge by 10% when attacking. For Skahak, she gets Godslayer going from B to EX, increase own damage against the divinity enemies for 3 turns, increase own damage against enemies with the undead again. Increase own damage against undead enemies for 3 turns, that's the upgrade, and then grant self a buff on attack buff for 3 times, 3 turns, new effect. Charges own NP gauge by 20% when attacking. And then for Nero Claudius, it is Invictus Spiritus A going to EX. Grant self Guts a status for 3 times, 6 turns, upgrade, that's an upgrade. Grant self on attack activated buff for 6 turns, that's a new effect. When Gut status is activated, increase own NP damage by 20% for 6 turns and remove own debuffs. And then she also has an increased own buff success rate for 6 turns, that's a new effect. Increased own MP generation rate for 6 turns, that's a new effect. And those are the 3 strengthenings coming into the game. Now, as for when they're going to be added, I think Setanta might be right when the event starts, and for the other 2 it might be when their banners are going to be coming up. I'm not 100% sure on this one because when I tried looking for it, I couldn't find it. But if you know the answer to this, go ahead and leave it down below. But I think that should be how it works. And if it doesn't work out like that, leave a message saying like, Wokey, where is it? And then I'll go checking again, which I have done in the past whenever it came to a strike theme that was not readily available right away. Inside the DaVinci Workshop, they'll be getting the Piercing Bunny Skahawk. So if you're wondering where's the bunny costume, it gets added when this event comes in. It will cost you 0 if you have cleared E Pluribus Innum, but if you haven't, then you can pay the cost for it, which I believe should be 5 Rare Mana Prisms, and when you finally do complete it, then they'll refund you to him. A Skahawk's Trial Quest will also unlock, which again, if you have cleared E Pluribus Innum, then it will be free, but if you want to get it early, then they'll be like, okay, we'll refund you later, and the rewards you get are like Lancer Gem for blue and red, and the gold one, the Secret Gem, and then there is the Summon Ticket. And then for Rare Prism Exchange Update, this is where they're going to be adding the Fate Arcade Collaboration Pre-Release Campaign Craft Essences, which are all the like UFO Catcher, Chaldea Fighter, Opera, and Arcade, Run After Run, which was like a really cool set of, they're just really here for the coolness of them. They don't, in terms of their effect, it doesn't matter what their effect, they're like nothing, basically nothing. But the cool part about them is that they are just like different aspects of an arcade. Of when you go in there, the UFO catcher, the seeing some dudes playing on a fighting game, usually Street Fighter, but maybe it's anything that's available to them. The rhythm games, the car games. I think they're really neat craft essences, and I like that they added them there as a way to show off the arcade and such. And now we will go into the shop. So these are the currencies. It's Medal of the Ruined Country, the Crown of the Decaying Leaves, and the Rose of Annihilation. For the Medal of Ruined Country, this is the gold material drop, and you'll need 3,930 of them to collect everything inside this shop. And inside the shop, we have 2 event CEs, a lore, 16 stacks of 10 servant coins for Setanta, so buying 1 gives you 10 of them. And you can do that 16 times. 10 Dragon Scales, 10 Curse Beast, Colossus, 20 Warhorse Horns, 30 Obsidian Edges. I don't know why I said that so weird. Obsidian Edges. 20 gold statues for Lancer, Rider, and Assassin. Gold Foe for HP and attack. A code remover, 10 stacks of 10 evocation leaves, as I explained beforehand. Buying 1 means you buy 10 basically, and when you have everything in the exchange shop, then you can start exchanging 2 of them for 10,000 QP, and you can do that at infinitum as long as you have them to give and such. Next, we go on to the Crown of the Decaying Leaves, which is the silver drop. You'll need 3,780 of them if you want to get everything in the shop. And inside of it, we have 1 event CE, 1 lore, 16 stacks of servant coins, 20 bloodstone tears, 20 phoenix feathers, 20 crown of the radiant silver, 30 twin crystals, 20 silver statue for Lancer, Rider, and Assassin, a golden foe for HP, 10 stacks of evocation leaves, and then when you're done, you can exchange them for Medal of a Ruined Country. I don't know why I completely blanked on that one. I literally just read it. But for every 10, you get you 1. And then finally, we'll go on to Rose of Annihilation, which is the bronze drop. And you'll need 3,600 of them to get everything in the shop. And inside this shop, we have 1 event CE, 16 stacks of servant coins, 20 Aurora Steel, 30 Homunculus Babies, 30 Stinger of Certain Death. I want to say Stinger drop, like Sting's finishing move from wrestling. 30 Dragon Fang, 30 Gunpowder, 1 Golden Foe for HP, 20 Silver Foe for HP and attack, 50 5-star EXP, 100 4-star EXP, 100 3-star EXP, 10 stacks of evocation leaves, and when you're done with all that, you can exchange them for Crown of the Decaying Leaves. Every 10 gets you 1, and you can do that basically infinitum until you run out of Rose of Annihilations and stuff like that. And that is what the shop is looking like. There's some nice stuff inside the shop for sure. I'm looking forward to getting some more Obsidian Edges. I don't know how. Somehow I went from like having a decent stack of Obsidian Edges to all of a sudden having like a fucking none of them. I don't know where they went. I don't know who took them. I could probably look and tell you who the culprit is, but we'll move on for right now. Now for the free quests, which is going to be the main things we're going to be kind of going and grinding through. You're going to be doing a decent amount of them, trying to finish the missions and stuff like that. Yes, you go through a decent amount of them. If you want to know, I guess another thing to make note of, which I should have mentioned a little bit beforehand when it comes to the missions, is that there should be already guides out there if you want to try and make sure you have the most efficient stamina and when you're doing stuff. Typically what I do is that I just look to see, does it have an exclamation point, and then I just kind of go hog wild with it, and I just kind of grind it until I'm done with it. But if you actually want to try and use maximum stamina efficiency, I can see if I can look for an old guide. I don't know why I clicked that old one. I can look for an old guide to help you out with that, and I can leave it in the comments. You can find it there. And if you don't find it there because you don't know where the comment description box is, then I guess you can leave a comment and I'll just give it to you specifically. Anyway, for the 90 plus and 90 plus nodes we have over here in Orleans, after these unlock after you clear the epilogue, it will be a 2-2-1 for the 90 plus, which is going to be all Lancers. Very weird one on this one, but the drops on it is going to be, as always, the event CE, Heart of the Foreign God, and Meteoric Horseshoe, along with Lancer gem drops, and in the gold, red, and blue variety, along with golden Lancer drops as well. For the statue, I should say, and then the material drops will be here as well. And then the best place to grind, but is usually the hardest one for most players because they require a huge investment in terms of damage. We have this one, which is called Incomplete Horse, which is a great name for a fight. They're all riders, and we have a 1, 3, and 1, and they're all riders like I mentioned beforehand. The drops from it are the event CE potentially, Bazaar the Golden Wine, Giant's Ring, Rider gem drops, but only for gold and for red it looks like, and then gold Rider statues as well, and then the material drops as always. This is actually, looking at the drops, this is not good for me. I have more than enough wine, and I think I have more than enough giant springs, so it doesn't look like this one is going to be all that great for me. So maybe once I kind of finish up grinding everything, I can kind of just move on and maybe continue on with the story and such. Shame, but it is what it is sometimes. The other thing I'll say is that obviously if you cannot complete these, there are the other ones such as Septem, which has a dedicated drop to the gold for the gold material, one for dedicated to the silver, which is Crown of the Decaying Leaves is an Okeanis, and then for London it is going to be the bronze one. I won't go over too crazy of them, but they're not hard. They're all like 3 3 3. For these, it might be a little bit more complicated as to what you can kind of do. Obviously if you have Draco's kind of the way they would like you to beat this one, because I mean, for the most part, just because Draco does have bonuses against all the classes, the first 7 classes I should say, so she would be useful here. Another thing I'll mention, just because this is related to summons for later, but this is something that I can't really predict, so I'll just leave it here. One thing to take note of is that what they've started to do is that they've started to add banners that JP did not get, that are banners specifically made to help with this one. So in this case it would be an assassin to help with the rider side, and to help with this one it would potentially be a saber. What those could be, I don't know. They've picked some they picked Telemeos for the most recent event, and that dude's not even really a summer servant. They just added him, and I was like, whoa, what the fuck? That's a crazy banner to add out of nowhere. So what I would say is that based off of the current trajectory, I would expect a servant that would make you want to summon is likely to be one of the choices. I believe when I brought this up last time, when I said I wonder how it would look for in the future, someone did kind of mention that potentially they could see Tez, because Tez could help out with the three rider drop version of this fight. So Nero could handle the first one, and she could also handle the final one. I'm not saying there's going to be a Tez banner, because he is also going to have a banner around summertime, but I think it would also make a lot of sense because he would be an excellent assassin to help out with a lot of the stuff, because he is guts focus and stuff like that, and he can take care of this. I think I used Tez for mine, if I remember correctly. But anyway, that is what it's looking like for the free quests, and we're going to move on to the, I don't know why I went up, because I could have just gone here and gone to the banners, since I was already basically talking about the banners. For the banners, the one that's going to be here on day one of the event is going to be the Draco banner. This is the only banner we're really going to be focusing in on and talking about. It's one that features Draco and Locusta, and then the craft essences, which are going to be here for all the banners, are going to be Great Mother, which is a Buster plus 10%, NP gain plus 10%, and NP charge stage plus 2. And this is again the gold drop, so this will help you with the Battle of the Ruined Country. Mushrooming, which gain NP charge by 3%, and then HP recovery rate is 15%, and this helps with silver drops for Crown of the Decaying Leaves. And then Service Games, which is an Art and Busters plus 2% and gain 1 crit stars per turn, and this helps with bronze drops of the Rose of Annihilation. And those are the basic craft essences, and nothing really super jumps out at me, but there is some really nice art on all of them. Really nice, really nice. And the other summon banners are going to be Jacques de Molay and Skahawk. Let's see, over in Japan, she showed up about 2 days later. And this is when I would expect Skahawk. Oh, let's see, Skahawk was actually a little bit further than Jacques. So it would be 4 days later is when I would suspect probably Skahawk's. It would be nice if it was on the day of. But anyway, Jacques de Molay, Skahawk, and Gilgamesh Caster. Gilgamesh Caster will be paired up with Jacques de Molay, and Skahawk will be going solo. And then the next summon banner is going to be, I don't know why I said summer banner. I know why, it's because summer's really close by. We have Larva, Tiamat, and Locusta. And then for summon 4, we have a big gaggle of people, including a single target unit. This is why I didn't bring up King Hassan as someone who would be really good to help out here, because he's already getting his own banner. But yeah, King Hassan, Nightingale, Mordred, Jack the Ripper, Artoria, Lancer, Alter, and then of course Nero Claudius, which is I would expect when her banner comes out, whatever day it may be. Let me see, these started kind of like June 15th, so this starts 2 days after this one. This is typically a week after, so that's probably when it starts. I feel like they would probably drop Nero's maybe a little bit sooner than that, but we'll see. For the start, it will be Nightingale, and then 2 days later, it'll be the Morgan and Lancer Artoria Alter. Then we have Jack and Nero together, and then finally, 2 days after them, we have King Hassan, again, going solo by himself, going right there. And those are the basic banner stuff. So, we reached the point now where we just now talk about units. And like I said, it's going to be Draco and Locusta for the main focus here. Because these other banners, I will just do dedicated videos talking about them for the specific people. Otherwise, if I had to do a video where I talked about every single one of these, this banner would be this video would be 2 hours long. And some people would enjoy that, but for some others, you gotta understand, I have to make it so that at least regular people are going to click on the video. People are gonna see like a 4-hour video and they're gonna be like, I don't want to click on that. Well, what could you possibly be talking about in those 4 hours? And the answer is, you guys really need to know a lot about Mordred. I know she's been in the game for going on almost 9 years for us, longer for Japan, but it's really important to talk about this. Anyway, before I even get into them, it's actually a surprise. I'm going to be going over Setanta real quick because he is the free-to-play, but this one's going to be easy because he's the free-to-play. You should get him regardless of anything. But let's go over what he does. Setanta, he is a saber. He has 2 quick, 2 arts, 1 buster, 4 hits on quick, 2 hits on arts, 3 hits on buster, 5 hits on extra. His active skills are Knight of the Red Branch, B, increases own attack for 3 turns, removes own debuffs, and then gain crit stars, 20% to attack, 20 to stars, and 5 to cooldown. Second skill is, again, after the buff, the Houndslayer, increase own damage against wild beast enemies for 3 turns, increase own quick performance for 3 turns, grants self a buff on attack buff for 5 times 3 turns, charges own MP gauge by 10% when attacking, 100% to wild beast damage, quick up is 20%, and cooldown is 5. If you wanted to see what the previous version of this looked like, it was just literally the wild beast thing and some quick damage, and so they added just a little bit more for NP gauge charging. And his third skill is the Shadowland Arms Mastery B+, chance to increase own critical damage for 3 turns, chance to increase own critical star absorption for 3 turns, grant self evasion for 2 attacks, 3 turns, 100% to crit damage chance, 40% to crit damage, 100% to absorption chance. The absorption is 400%, and this is on a cooldown of 6. His passive skills are Magic Resistance B and Divinity B. And his third defense skill is an anti-assassin attack damage aptitude, and his noble phantasm is the Cruden Setanta, the shining blade of the cleaving death, rank B+, it's anti-unit, and it's a quick noble phantasm. It hits 5 times, it ignores evasion for 1 turn, activates first, deals damage that ignores defensive buffs to 1 enemy. At MP level 1, it's 1200, at MP level 5, it's 2000, and then his overcharge effect is a reduction of their defense for 3 turns. It does not activate first. 20% at charge level 1 and 40% if you get to the final charge level. And then his bond CE, which is adorable to look at because it's just a dog looking at the moon, is the Growling Puppy. When equipped to Setanta, increases party's quick performance by 10%, increases party's damage against wild beast enemies by 10% while self is on the field. I need to take a quicker look at that puppy. Beautiful. Absolutely wonderful art here. Tells a story. Love every bit about this. What does the lore text say here? A puppy growls at the no moonlight night. A puppy that manifested along with the heroic spirit Setanta. Could it be that the soul of the hound of the Kulan he once killed latched onto Setanta's soul in the throne and miraculously manifested in miniature form? Or is this the spirit of an offspring of the legendary ferocious hand? Setanta himself doesn't really know. What is clear is that the puppy doesn't really help Setanta in battle, nor does it share emotions and sensations like a familiar, and that it growls at the moonlit night. Fantastic stuff here. I know I just literally said I can't make this video too long, and then I read the lore drop for a puppy CE, but you know what? It's fine. That's Setanta, because it's going to be really easy to say, how good is he? He's free, so you should get him regardless of anything. If you're looking for a single target saber and you have not buffed up any of the other free-to-play single target sabers, Setanta is definitely one that I would say is pretty useful. The one thing that's kind of you have to work around is that he doesn't have a natural NP gauge buff himself. He has one that's tied to him attacking. But he also has a very specific niche of fighting the wild beasts. If you did the most recent summer event, you literally can see when there was when they forced you to use someone that dealt wild beast damage. He came super clutch to me because he had it for 3 turns. So I was able to just pop it on the skill when his time to attack came up, and then I just annihilated the wild beast. So it is nice to kind of have him around for those specific scenarios of like, oh, that's really nice. He's able to clear his own debuffs. That's really cool. And yeah, he's very straightforward, pretty simple, but I like him. And that's Setanta. If you're looking in terms of investment, if you already have a dedicated single target, then probably you don't need to worry too much about him unless you specifically are looking to fight a wild beast. But you know, you can say that about basically any of the free-to-play sabers, obviously, who are single target. And now let's go on to the banner units themselves. Locusta is next. She is a limited servant. She is an assassin. She has 1 quick, 3 arts, 1 buster, 4 hits on quick, 3 hits on arts, 3 hits on buster, 5 hits on extra. Her active skills are Poison Compounding A+, inflict poison for 5 turns to all enemies, increase on arts performance for 3 turns, increase on MP generation rate for 3 turns, 1000 to poison damage, 30% to arts, 20% to NP rate, and the cooldown is 6. Her second skill is the Robust Health Poison A, grants self gut status for 1 time 3 turns, reduces own damage taken for 3 turns, grants self a poison recovery buff for 5 turns, and converts own poison damage to HP recovering, 2000 to HP, 500 to minus being damage taken, and this is on a cooldown of 6. Her third skill is Cooking Mushrooms B, charges party's NP gauge, grants self debuff on attack buff for 3 turns. For 3 attacks, 3 turns. When inflicting poison with 500 damage for 3 turns to enemies when normal attacking, 500% chance to inflict poison with 1000 damage for 5 turns to yourself. This is considered a demerit. 20% to the NP charging party's NP gauge, and this is on a cooldown of 6. Her passive skills are Peasant Concealment B, Mental Pollution Poison D, which an increased own poison debuff success rate by 20%, and an increased own mental debuff resistance by 10%. Her third defense skill is an anti-saber attack damage aptitude, and her noble phantasm is the Finis Fungus. When it comes to sacred food offerings, it's mushrooms. Rank C+, anti-unit, anti-army, it's arts, it hits 4 times, it inflicts poison with 500 damage to for 5 turns to 1 enemy. This activates first, deals damage to 1 enemy, deal 100% plus 15% and extra damage to enemies with the poison status, and poison stacks count max 10 stacks, and then inflict toxic status for 5 turns of them, increase the poison damage on them by 100%, and then at MP level 1 it's 900%, and if you get it all the way to MP level 5 it is 1500, and her overcharge effect is an increased own arts performance for a single turn. This activates first, Arts is 10% at charge level 1, and if you get it all the way to the final charge level, it's 30%. And then we have her Bonsi, which is food offerings for the gods. When equipped to her, increases party's damage against enemies with the poison status by 20%, and then a 500% chance to inflict poison with 500 damage to yourself. This is an demerit while self is on the field. And that is Locusta. Who is Locusta? I think she's neat. She is definitely a unit that you have to be playing the gimmick. If you're not playing her specific poison gimmick, or you're going against an enemy that is like immune to the poison gimmick, then obviously she doesn't do anything. And for that reason alone, I think it's going to be pretty tough for a lot of people. Like, you have to kind of like buy into, does this sound fun to you? And if the answer is yes, then you have some poison fun to mess around with. And if the answer is no to you, then even if they made her the most crazy busted broken unit in the entire game, it likely would not be enough for some people, just because they're like, I don't know, it's poison. If there's ever a case of an enemy being able to not be poisoned, like having 100% debuff resistance, being debuff immune or something like that, which has happened plenty of times, as if I've heard about a couple of units that have like bonuses against certain types of, like, it's really frustrating when the boss is just like, I don't get affected by that, so your entire mechanic just does not work. Very sucky. But and then the other kind of negative thing is that she is a limited servant, and she's also one that is based around collab, so that means that she's also an extra limit of, like, it's like an extra step up of how limited she is. So if you're trying to get her MP5 or you're trying to get her to a level 120, it's gonna be really fucking tough. It either requires a lot of bond farming, or you have to get really lucky on that banner, or unlucky if you're trying to get Draco and stuff like that. Like, even on mine, I think I only got like a couple copies of Locusta before I got my Draco. It was I expected to get more, but you know, the way banners also work is that if you actually want the unit, then they try and curse you, and that way you never get them. But anyway, that's Locusta. I think you already know if you specifically want Locusta or not, because the gameplay mechanics built around poison sound fun to you and stuff like that. Like my brother, for example, who he does find fun in that, so he definitely loves her and likes to use her and would like more copies of her as well. So finally we get to the man of the hour, though I guess the woman of the hour, woman with the power, Draco, Sodom's beast. Let's go. She is a limited servant. She is, of course, the beast class. She has 1 quick, 1 arts, 3 buster, 5 hits on quick, 4 hits on arts, 3 hits on buster, 5 hits on extra. Class advantages and disadvantages, because it's different for every beast. She is basically, like I said, she has bonuses against all the 7 classes, and then all the other classes she's not. So if you're an extra class, she has disadvantage, and if you're not an extra class, then she's dealing extra damage to you, especially if you're a berserker, which is a ×2. The other ones are 1.5, but for the berserkers specifically, she says fuck you. Her active skills are Number of the Beast, C, charges own NP gauge every turn for 6 turns, increases own crit, I love this by the way, increases own crit damage for 6 turns, reduces own damage taken for 6 turns, 10% to NP regen, 30% to crit damage, and minus 1,000 to damage taken, and this is on a cooldown of 7. Her second skill is the Aurora Porculum Golden Grail C, seals all enemy skills for 1 turn, inflicts burn for 3 turns to them, 500% chance to charge their NP gauge by 1, this is considered a demerit. Increase own attack for 3 turns, and then grant self the Holding the Holy Grail status for 3 turns, 5,000 to burn damage, 40% to attack, and this is on a cooldown of 6. Her third skill is the 7 Beast Crown C, increases own buff removal resistance by 100% for 1 time for 3 turns. When self is holding the Holy Grail, status, increase own damage against dragon enemies for 3 turns, increase own damage against Roman enemies for 3 turns, gain critical stars every turn for 3 turns, grant self a debuff immunity for 1 time, increase own defense, ignores defense for 3 turns, increases own healing received for 3 turns, and then charges own NP gauge every turn for 3 turns. A hold-in Holy Grail versus dragon damage is 40%, the Roman damage is 40%, the star regen is 10, the Holding Holy Grail heal rate is 20%, and the Holding Holy Grail thing of MP generation rate is 20%, and this is on a cooldown of 7, because it sure does give you a buttload of skills. All right, and then her passive skills are Authority of the Beast C, increases own critical damage by 10%, increases own crit damage by 2%. The Independent Manifestation E, increases own crit damage by 2%, increases own instant kill resistance by 2%, and increase own mental debuff resistance by 2%. And then we have Nega Messiah EX, increase own debuff success rate by 500%. And then her third append skill is an anti-caster attack damage aptitude. And her noble phantasm is the Babylon Damasaura ingurgitating golden theater. I don't know why that threw me off for a loop. Rank A, anti-army. It's arts. It hits 8 times. It deals damage to one enemy. That's all the effect does. Deals damage to one enemy. At MP level 1, it's 900%, and at MP level 5, it's 1,500. And then her overcharge effects is to deal extra damage to the 7 Knight Servant enemies. At charge level 1, it's 150%, and if you get all the way to the final charge level, it's 200%. And then the Bond C is the Estus. When equipped to Draco, increases its own NP damage by 30%, and then grants self a buff on attack buff. While self is holding the Holy Grail status, 40% chance to increase on NP damage by 10% for 3 turns when normal attacking. And that is Draco. So, how is Draco? This is fairly easy again, because Draco is an extremely easy unit to kind of comprehend. Draco really wants to fight one of the 7 servants, and then with it, all you're doing, there's nothing fancy here, you're just hitting them really fucking hard. That's all you're doing. Listen, this Noble Phantasm says deals damage to one enemy because that's what it does. It hits really hard. And then of course you'll deal extra damage if you're going against a servant, which is key in a lot of cases, because when we talk about the specific negatives to Draco, the negatives are that her damage can be a little bit on the slow side. Not slow side, low side, there we go. It can be on the low side if you are fighting against a non-servant, which can be a little bit painful for that. Even if you have class advantage, I've definitely had it in the past. When she's fighting a servant, I've never had a problem with her at MP level 1. When I've had to fight like a giant dragon or something like that, then she actually starts to show a little bit of an issue in that case. And the easiest way to solve that one is unfortunately getting more NP copies, and as such, it can be kind of a high ask for a lot of people. But if you already love Draco and you already plan to get her like NP5 and stuff like that, which I'm not saying you should go and do that, in general, as someone who also has NP5 units, you should not be doing that in general. It's very bad because you'll lose a lot. Unless you're extremely lucky or you're insane like me and you save like 300 tickets, you usually end up losing a lot of money. But if you have plenty of disposable cash, then do with it with what you will and stuff. Oh, that was a long way for me to say. That's the one way to kind of help her out with her damage, but at MP level 1, I think she can still take down servants pretty easily. The only thing you have to kind of worry about is non-servants, and you can usually help that out a little bit by maybe if you wanted to give her a little bit of a golden foe, maybe give her a little bit of level, stuff like that. There's plenty of things you can probably think of to do. And yeah, the other cool thing about Draco is that she's Draco. She looks fucking rad. For YouTube's sake of my channel not getting demonetized and kicked off the platform, I'm not going to show you the second stage. But this is her first stage. This is her third stage. Really cool looking, really awesome. Love the design of this one. And her first stage is also very cute with the long dress. And then the second stage is what it is. So that's Draco. I know a lot of people are going for it because a lot of people love Nero in general, so I wish y'all the best of luck. Should you be summoning, I think Draco is a really solid unit, but like I said, if you are someone who's maybe I don't know, if you don't really need someone like a single targeter for most of the first servants of the first 7 classes, I guess maybe you don't need her and stuff like that. I don't think she's like usually go too crazy, kind of go for it from there. It kind of really depends on your box. I think if you're someone who's actually in arts in some kind of way, because she is arts focused, even though it's funny enough she has 3 buster cards, she does have an arts focused NP. She can be used as a really good single target if you don't have something like a berserker of some kind to kind of take her down, like Summer Castoria, stuff like that. I think she's really good. I don't want to make it seem like I'm underselling it or anything, but it's definitely a case of like, I can see someone probably not going for her. They've also kind of said in the past that beast units are supposed to be extremely rare, but now that, since they've said that, they've basically released her maybe once a year. So Not that rare, I guess, in the grand scheme. Like, they do, most servants get a once a year. Like, Castoria gets a once a year banner. She's on the same tier of, I guess, Castoria in terms of getting banners. So yeah, if you plan to summon, I wish you the best of luck. If you're asking me for my specific advice, especially because there's also another beast coming with Space Erishkigal, it's going to be kind of, I think, highly dependent on what you're looking for. If it's an AoE, then obviously Space Erishkigal, but if it's a single target, then I would imagine Draco. And then, of course, you have to think of the factor of, do you prefer Nero or do you prefer a Ren face? Which is the most important factor when you're making any decision, is which of these girls am I a bigger fan of? And if the answer is I'm not a fan of really neither of them, then congratulations, I guess you don't get to involve yourself in this conversation. But anyway, wish you the best of luck if you decide to summon. If you're continuing to save for maybe something in summer or anniversary itself, then I hope you hold true to your beliefs and hold strong as well. That's the end of the video, everyone. This ended up being extremely long, longer than I expected, but there we go. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you've been having a good time. Well, what have you been doing in your off days of waiting for the event to start up again? Hopefully you've been doing some interludes. I've been kind of relaxing, chillaxing, doing some stuff, releasing other videos, talking about Gintama. Most recent arc, really fucking good. Did a video on that. I can't wait to kind of start up again. But then, of course, we also have a lot of Fate stuff, Fate Grand Order stuff coming up for us on here, because we are not that far away from anniversary at this point, so I have to start thinking about doing the GSSR videos again, which, oh my god. Why'd I remind myself of that? Anyway, thank you very much for watching, everyone. Until next time, wish you all the best. Later. Peace out. Bye.